He is back in there. He's not opting out like a lot of people are doing in sports, like the UConn Huskies college basketball program just shutting it down. Michael Bradley. College football. What did I say?
Basketball.
I always said, because I only think about college. I only think of UConn basketball. I don't really think of them as a football school. UConn football. Your thoughts, Michael?
They shut it down a couple years ago. It's amazing to me that these programs that stink and are draining money from athletic departments then force the athletic department to get rid of other sports. UConn shouldn't have a Division 1A football team. They're awful. No one goes to their games. They should go back to the old Yankee Conference, play New Hampshire and Maine.
What about the Rutgers? Are they in that same well, Rutgers spends a lot of money on football. They spend more money on 2-win seasons than anybody, I think.
Yeah, they spend more money per win than any other team in the history of football. And they're still not getting a full share from the Big Ten. The Big Ten's like, you'll get a full share in 2074. You go on stinking and giving our teams a win every year.
But they got new uniforms. They're going old school. Do you see that? Rutgers bringing back like the 2000s.
Well, they brought back the coach, too.
Yeah, from the 2000s.
Yeah, well, they had to bring Schiano back. That's the only thing that they could do in order to have a shot. And half the team is tested positive, so they're going to quarantine him for the next 2 weeks, and then they'll bring him back. I mean, the Big Ten released its schedule today. You talk about wishing and hoping and praying. They got a 10-game schedule for every team, starting Labor Day weekend, going through the week before Thanksgiving. I say the over-under on games played for each team is 2.5.
Now, you mentioned the Big Ten. They say it's September 3rd. Meanwhile, Michigan, Ohio State, October 24th. Will that game be played?
No, I don't think they make it that far. Look, really? I'm going back to teach at Villanova. I'm going to have 4 in-person classes. I get 88 students or something like that I'm going to be dealing with. And we're going to say to them, don't go to the party. Don't go out to dinner. Don't go hang out with your friends. Don't cohabitate. And they're going to listen to us. Forget it.
Well, who are they? If they're not going to listen to you, who are they going to listen to?
Right.
Nobody. They're 21 years old. Who do you listen to?
Bobby413 that wants to know. I'm sorry. Bill Brown rips the Big Ten, but Mr. Johns Who says, does Ray Rice have a year left? Oh, that's what they're asking about. We're talking about college eligibility, of course, as we do college football chatter.
What did you think? What do you think about that situation with your good buddy Steve Adazio out in Colorado State?
If it's true, if he is telling players, and by the way, who's surprised that a college football coach is telling his players, tough it out. Don't mention if you're asymptomatic, we don't want to hear it. The sacrifice for the program. Who's surprised that they're doing that? But if it's true, he should be fired. Absolutely fired.
He just got hired.
I know.
And by the way, Harry, you know what Colorado State was getting. Bad move.
Right. Oh, yeah, totally.
Michael Bradley, El Hombre. Now, you got Jack Lord looking back behind your head here, ready to book you. And you started out because we know people love the last time you're on. Now you got Kojak on there. Kicking it old school. That lollipop's about to poke your ear out, though, man, from behind.
I think he's getting a coronavirus test with the lollipop stick up his nose.
Stick that lollipop right up your nose.
I took one of those the other day.
Did it hurt?
No, it doesn't hurt. It's just uncomfortable, and my eyes are watering. And I have a rather large nose, so I use a broom handle. That's the swab they sent me to get all the way up my nostril. But it's not comfortable, but it's not awful.
So you've been writing about all the college basketball teams that may not play, as you talked about last time you're on. So now you're still down on college football being played, even though the Big Ten and Penn State announced their schedule today. Did you break it down and give them the win, give them a loss, dog, on Penn State?
No, I didn't, because I don't think they're going to get through it. And I'm not trying to be, people are like, no one loves college football more than I do. I mean, let's face it. I crave college football. But think about it this way. Michigan plays Indiana. Who cares? They test on Wednesdays and they're okay. Mm-hmm. Saturday, they play the game. Monday, 8 Michigan guys test. The whole team has to quarantine, and the whole Indiana team has to quarantine. So you take 2 weeks off. Then they come back. They're okay. We hope somebody else tests. It's just there's too much going on here.
So you don't really think, even though we're seeing the bubble with the NBA and hockey, I know there's no bubble in college football, and there's obviously no bubble in baseball, and we've had a couple of teams. The baseball thing seems to have calmed down, at least for now. College football, the kids aren't even really allowed to go back to class, although some schools are. So colleges looks like they're setting the students back. Penn State kids are going back soon. It's August. So if the kids go back to school and it's safe for them to go back, you don't think there's going to be college football?
If it's safe for them to go back, it's safe to start playing college football. But I predict within a month, as I said, I'm teaching 4 classes in person. Within a month, I'll be back on Zoom because I think the schools are going to have to close down because there's going to be too many positive tests. And here's the thing. Even if the kids are asymptomatic, if there's a rash of test positives, people who test positive, they're going to have to go. They're going to have to close down. Parents are going to go nuts.
You mean the same parents who've been going nuts since March with their kids at home,
right?
And then have a summer off with their kids at home, and then we're looking forward to sending the kids back to school in the fall? Those parents?
Those parents. And as a parent of 3 who has all 3 of them out of the house, I can tell you, it's wonderful having them all out of
Yes, it is.
Now, we just had John Kincaid on last hour, and he said that there's no doubt that the SEC is going to play come hell or high water.
I agree with that 100%. I mean, the SEC is the closest thing to the NFL, both in talent but also in approach. Mm-hmm. The NFL will bring a bulldozer and push the infected bodies off the field in the middle of the game.
Right.
The SEC could come pretty close to doing that, too.
It'll be like that snowplow in that New England-Miami game back in the day.
Exactly. That was a rug, though. I mean, they just had to sweep the rug off to get the snow off the grass for the field goal. By the way, will Uga have like a second bulldog out there to pull off any of the Georgia Bulldogs who are hunkering down and not able to get off the field if they get the Rona mid-game?
Uga has had to quarantine also, and that means he's had to stay away from the ladies, and he's quite the ladies' man. When you're the mascot for University of Georgia, you can do all right for yourself.
You get a lot of ass.
Oh, we no doubt about that.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? Now, what about the ACC and your favorite team, your Fighting Irish of Notre Dame?
Notre Dame du Lac. It is astounding to me that the ACC allows Notre Dame to play in all of these sports without being a full football member. I mean, really, what does it matter? Basketball down there is king, and Notre Dame's basketball team is not all that great.
Right.
So, I mean, what does Duke gain by having them in for everything but football? This should be the gun to the head saying, we gave you a break. We gave you a schedule. We're going to let you compete for a title. You now have to join as a full football member.
Well, are they members for all other sports except football full-time?
Yeah, not hockey. They play in the Big Ten for hockey, which is, again, why they turned the Big Ten down twice. Mm-hmm. They stuck it to the Big Ten on 2 different occasions. They were very close to joining, and then they said, we're not going to do it. And yet they let them come in and play ice hockey against them. It doesn't make any sense. But for ACC, they're in every other sport except football full-time.
Now, Cujo knows as Uga gets that fupa. I don't know whether the Bulldogs have a fupa, but people are they're starting to feel the energy of this segment when we're talking about college mascots,
right?
Especially animal college mascots, which I don't know whether that's going to be allowed very much long with everybody being canceled now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I think Mike the Tiger's okay at LSU, and nobody's going to mess with Bevo.
No, you're absolutely right.
Or what's the name of the buffalo in Colorado?
Ralphie.
I love that. I love Ralphie.
Buffalo, they call it buffalo, but Bevo's the bull.
Bevo's the bull,
exactly.
The longhorn steer.
Yeah, exactly right, man. Now, the backdrop, I actually watched the end of that movie the other night, that Apollo 11 movie, not the Apollo 11, the First Man.
Apollo 9 or something?
No, First Man.
It was the latest one.
The one where, what's his name?
Is it Ryan Gosling?
Yeah, Ryan. Boy, that movie was
I heard
horrible.
That was terrible.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
And I only watched it like 3/4 of the way in when they start to go into the Apollo, the elevator to go up in the Apollo 11, and then the launch happens, and they had actual real footage, and then these guys are pretending, and then 2 minutes later they're in Earth atmosphere.
Yeah, this is it.
And then 5 minutes later they land on the moon. They spend 2 minutes of the movie on the moon, and then they're back on Earth.
This was the production meeting ahead of time. Okay, we want to do the Apollo landing movie. We'll get some really great actors like Ryan Gosling, and then we're going to take all the exciting parts out and only leave the really long, drawn out.
Yeah, it was like you know what it was, like Titanic. The whole movie was a soap opera, and you knew it was going to happen at the end.
Right.
And then
this is
It's horrible.
This is Neil Armstrong because today would have been his 90th birthday.
Correct.
I started with Roman Gabriel because today is his 80th birthday.
That is great knowledge. And John Hadel just had a birthday the other day, right? You had him up there earlier, too.
I guess. I don't know. I just decided I like the Chargers uniform.
Oh, I do, too. The great John Hadel here.
You know, I know. I love those Chargers uniforms. But I got to dispute something that the Daily Hombre said about Notre Dame. He is a noted Notre Dame hater, and he disparaged on Notre Dame basketball, saying that they basically do offer nothing. They've gotten to a couple of Elite Eights and Sweet 16s in the last couple years.
What I mean is when they come to town, it's not like the football team that the fans come out to see them. If you're an ACC fan,
right,
you want to see Duke, you want to see Carolina, you want to see Louisville.
I want to see Maryland, and they're in the stinking Big Ten. That's stupid, too.
So I'm not disparaging. You know, Mike Bray's done a heck of a job there. He's got some real challenges in terms of recruiting. So I give them credit. But what I mean is, what do they bring in terms of – it's not like Wake Forest is going to say, geez, Notre Dame's going to come to town and we're finally going to get a sellout. They get that when Carolina, Duke, North Carolina State come because all their fans come and buy tickets.
Now, of course, you have Fletch playing for the Lakers behind you right now, and I think he could play for the Lakers in the remaining games because they don't really care anything until the playoffs start.
If he can play guard, he can play for the Lakers because that's their problem moving forward. Their backcourt is shaky.
He could play for the Wizards today.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Against the Sixers.
Wow. You talk about games now. Now, listen, I love the fact that basketball's back, hockey's back, and it's August, and normally we're just complaining about the baseball season's too long. Let's get college football and pro football back. But the bottom line is a lot of these games now are meaningless, and you can tell by the teams playing it.
Yeah, you know, you're playing for seeding. I don't know what the teams at the top are playing for. I mean, the hockey games matter. I don't have does anybody have a score of the Boston Tampa Bay game? We need a
Boston was losing last we saw.
Yeah, it was 2-0 the last I checked. I'll get you an update here in a second.
All right, the Flyers need a win from the Bruins there, and then they can make it a little easier for them to get that top seed.
Still 2-0.
No, they need a win from Tampa, don't they? They need Tampa Bay to win that game.
The Flyers need a win from Tampa, and then they're guaranteed at least the third seed.
Okay,
Exactly.
but the way I'm looking at it is if Boston wins, the Flyers have beaten Boston. Right. If they end up beating Washington, then they may have 2 wins and they could get the first. But anyway, those games matter. The NBA games, watching that stuff with scores in the 130s and the 140s, it's awful. Nobody's playing defense. The games don't really seem to matter at all.
Well, the Sixers have given up an average of like 45 points in 2 fourth quarters.
They're up 4. Yeah. They're up 4 in the third quarter. But the other games we're talking about. Let me get the hockey. I got to go past the WNBA scores.
Oh, you got to get past the WNBA.
I got to get past the WNBA. It's 2-0. Still Tampa Bay leading Boston. You mentioned the Islanders. The Florida Panthers stayed alive. They beat the Islanders. But the big story is Arizona 4-1 winners over your Nashville Predators. Big shocker there. 2 games to 1 now for Arizona. 2 games to 1.
It's very interesting to see all of this as it's going. You know, it's moving forward. And Harry, you mentioned the bubble, or Tony, one of you guys mentioned the bubble that they're in. NBA again reported today no positive COVID tests. Okay. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Major League Baseball was not smart enough to do the bubble. The bubble works. We got the MLS going towards its final game. We've got the hockey and basketball are doing everything right. The NFL needs to do what the Saints are doing and put each team in a bubble in their hometown so that the people can stay free of this stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point. We'll see what happens during training. Tomorrow's the deadline to opt out, 4 o'clock. You had 2 Marlins opt out now. Albert Wilson and Alan Hearns are the 2 receivers who opted out for the Miami Dolphins.
But, Michael, what do you say about all the hysteria about this? Yet all these athletes that have tested positive, none of them even realize they had the virus, and they have really no symptoms.
I'm aware that if you're between the ages of 18 and 35 and you're in good shape, chances are you're going to be okay. However, a couple of things you got to remember. Freddie Freeman said he was praying for his life when he had it. So there's going to be some people who get it and get the symptoms bad. Second of all, obesity is a comorbidity that can make the COVID worse. And a lot of these offensive linemen are carrying around an extra 100 pounds. So that could be a problem. Plus, it can affect your heart. Their hearts probably are stressed a lot already. The people you got to worry about are the coaches, the staff, the people who are doing the broadcast, everybody else who's in their 40s and 50s and 60s who then could be the problem. That's what we're afraid of, I think.
By the way, I got to give the Memphis Grizzlies one of these.
Oh, yeah.
How about that John Moran? He wants to be on the cover of the NBA 2K video game. The Memphis Grizzlies have now lost 5 straight games since March when they shut it down.
Right.
They lose again today to the Utah Jazz, 124-115. They are winless in the bubble, man. And they had that thing pretty much locked down for the 8 seed in the West.
They were almost a minus 400 on DraftKings before the NBA restarted to make the playoffs. They ain't making it.
Phillies home run. I think it's Scotty Jetpacks.
Yeah, we got too much going on.
Or is it real? I think it's Real Muto. I think Real Muto hit it.
Well, who are you, Tom McCarthy? How do you get those two confused?
They're both white guys. I can't see the numbers.
The Yankees I don't know any of the Yankees. None of the. They should
Real
put
Muto
names.
hit
The
it.
Yankee guys all look the same, man. Every dude on the
they
Yankees.
got no names on the back.
I know.
They look like automatons, except for I'll tell you. I went and saw the Phillies play the Yankees. I think it was last year when they had Stanton and Judge. And Stanton comes out, and he's mammoth, right?
Yeah.
Then Judge comes out. And he looks like he could put Stanton in his back pocket. He's one of the largest mammals I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of NBA players.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
They are stacked.
5-3 now, the Phillies leading over your
How about that?
New York Yankees.
And this is good. The 7-inning game is good. The Phillies can get a lead, and then they don't have to use too much of their bullpen. That's a smart move.
Exactly right. Michael Bradley, so do you finish all your college basketball previews that you
Not
won't
yet.
be using?
Not yet. I still got 19 to do for Blue Ribbon College Basketball Yearbook.
How much? Like how long do you spend on each team?
It depends how much I have to write. Like, for instance, when I was doing the MEAC, I only had to write about 100 words per team. Okay. So that wasn't so bad. But with Blue Ribbon, you got to write 1,000 to 1,500 words for North Dakota State. Okay. So I got to research them. I got to talk to the coach for a half hour. Then I got to write the thing. Trust me, I'm writing as fast as I can because my hourly rate diminishes a lot. This is a volume show with Blue Ribbon.
Damn right it is.
It's the best. It's the best out there. Nobody's as thorough as the Blue Ribbon College Basketball Yearbook. I'll tell you
As
what.
I used to say many times, it's not the quality, it's the quantity.
That's right.
You know, when I went through my single and mingling craze.
How does that compare to the Phil Steele college football preview book?
Phil Steele's insane because he's figuring out who the third string guard is.
That's right.
And going through the entire depth chart. It's fun if you are really into this stuff, but it's just sometimes it's too much data. You read 2 or 3 teams and your head's spinning. You have no idea who's who on what team.
Mm-hmm.
And now, of course, the backgrounds. Your background game is strong, man. Harry has a golf background when he does it from his house. Just a boring, nice fairway.
Well, that's for my podcast.
I know, but I mean, you got to get the mix. Nobody's got a better mix right now.
I agree.
Than Michael Bradley. How many different
Flamingos.
backdrops?
Who has Divine from Pink Flamingos?
Nobody has Divine. From
There's
Pink
a reason
Flamingo.
for that.
And she's got a good gun there. When she pulls out, when she whips that thing out,
right?
You know what happens, right?
You
know what she
say
says?
something?
Excuse me while I whip this out.
That's what Divine said in the actual movie Pink Flamingos back in the day.
Now, what's the goat up there for? Did you see that?
Yes,
Is that your version of Tom
I don't
Brady?
like the term the GOAT. So whenever anybody starts talking about the GOAT, I put up a real GOAT.
Damn right. And now you got Jack Nicholson from The Shining. It's good stuff. You got a good mixture in there, man. Nobody can mix up the backgrounds like you.
Now, do
and
you
none
just
of them
have
have
a slime?
anything to do with sports, by
Is
the
it
way.
just a slideshow that's going, or do you change it yourself?
It's manually changed, Robin. I do
He's got
that.
the clicker like the meteorologist, when they go to the 5-day forecast and they got to hit the little clicker. So do you know what's coming up next? Can you pre-program your backdrop for these sessions?
I got to do it myself, and it really depends on my mood at the time, right? So right now I'm a little zany, so we'll go with the Stooge.
Right now
you're zany. See, now his
what's
head
going on
fits
with
in right there.
I know.
He's
yeah,
like
he's
the
got
fourth
the Stooges.
Stooge.
Love that. You're covering up Curly, man.
I know he's the best Stooge.
He is the best. I don't know. Is he the best Stooge?
Yeah, I liked him the most.
Yeah, I did too.
I couldn't stand Shemp.
Oh,
what do you mean you couldn't stand Shemp?
Great.
I didn't like Shemp.
Come on, Harry. How do you not have Harry and I in the backdrop there? Jesus,
Quiet,
man.
numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Exactly. How do you not have Harry and I as one of your backdrops?
Actually, you know what would go with that is the new one that one of our interns made up is the Step Brothers image, but their faces over it.
Yeah, that's a pretty good photo.
Like
the
poster of
Remember
Step
the movie
Brothers.
Step Brothers?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a really great Photoshop.
Exactly. Now, Dean says that Bob Pisani on the CNBC Business Channel has the best backdrops. I don't put on CNBC, or I don't have a gigantic stock portfolio, so I don't really pay attention to what Kramer has or any of these other guys. Kramer does have a sound effects machine, though. I know that.
Jim Kramer?
Jim Kramer. He's always used the sound effects, hasn't he?
Yes.
Now you're fading. Now, why does your head mix in with some of those? Like, now you got, what's his name?
It's like a green screen. You know, if I lean back, then it fades and I move forward.
He's low-key faded.
Because you'd rather see Bill Murray. You'd rather see Carl Spackler.
Now, that's from Caddyshack, right?
Carl Spackler.
Carl Spackler. Not, of course, when he played in my favorite movie of all. He's great in it. But that's not his best movie. You know what his best movie is?
Don't say Razor's Edge.
Stripes. Yeah, that's great.
Oh, yeah.
Phenomenal.
That's a leading role.
Phenomenal.
Well, Harold Ramis added a lot to Stripes. He's phenomenal.
That whole cast was great in Stripes. Yeah. There was a lot of work in that thing, man. And the best part is when he yells, "That's the fact, Jack!"
Right. Harold Ramis is really undervalued in comedy.
I agree.
No doubt. He was a great straight man.
Yep.
And SCTV days
That's
back
right.
in the day when you talk about great Canadians, eh? You know what I mean?
By the way, if you want to see something good, dig up the Second City TV Christmas special, where it is classic.
John Candy in there?
What's that? Oh, Candy. Yeah, Candy's in there. The Lutonian Christmas, and they got the kid from Deliverance in there, and it's very good stuff. It's very good.
By the way, the worst Bill Murray movie, The Dead Don't Sleep.
No,
Never
the
even
dead
heard
don't
of it.
die.
The Razor's Edge is the worst.
Dead Don't Die. It's a zombie movie with the dude who played Kylo Ren in the what's his name? He's a really good actor.
Andrew Driver? Diver?
Yeah, Driver. Adam Driver. Adam Driver and Bill Murray, you think, oh, this is going to be a funny movie. Not Mini Driver.
Yeah.
Adam Driver and Bill Murray in this zombie, and I love zombie movies. Says, let's put the movie on with Bill Murray. It looks funny. It is tedious. It is horrible. It is the worst movie ever made.
It's a zombie movie with an environmental message.
I don't even care about the message. It wasn't good. I don't care about the message.
It's really bad.
It was the worst movie ever made, and I'm including Plan 9 from Outer Space. That's how bad that movie was.
That's just campy.
It's not even campy funny. It's not one of those it's so bad it's good movies. It is so bad it's wretched bad. It stinks
Harry,
on ice.
Let's see if you know this one. Last night I was waiting, and my wife was coming down. We're going to watch something. I was watching Summer School with Mark Harmon and Kirstie Alley.
Wow.
And a very young Courtney Thorne-Smith, who's 16 in the movie, trying to lure Mark Harmon into bed.
Wow. Mark Harmon, of course, the UCLA quarterback back in the day.
Right, exactly.
Whose sister was the Tic Tac Girl commercial.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's his sister.
Not the TikTok girl.
No, Tic Tac.
They're trying to get rid of that.
And by the way, the 76ers now trail the Washington Wizards by 5 late in the third quarter.
Wow.
And Ben Simmons just left the floor limping, headed to the locker room.
No. Is that from hoisting up that three about an hour ago?
Man.
2 for 10, 0 for 1 from three-point land, but he's made 50% of his free throws today, though.
Well, there you go.
4 for 8.
Big day for Ben.
And
Big day for Ben.
6 rebounds and 8 points for your 76ers. Let's see with the bench. Thibault has 0 points. Furkan
Korkmaz.
I know. I'm trying to think of the guy from Johnny Dangerously. Remember? Fargan Icehole.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
That was Roman Maroney.
That is great.
You hostages are a bunch of ice holes.
Fargan Iceholes.
Quiches. Fargan ice holes. Yeah, that was classic. He was great. Roman Maroney.
You knew he would know
I
that.
know.
That's one of the great movies. That's one of the most underrated movies of all time. Johnny Dangerously.
Roman Maroney says, this is Fargan War. And then they show the headline of the newspaper that says Fargan
Oh.
War.
They're calling him Rain Man Bradley on the Twitch stream right now.
Let's put your hands together. He never disappoints.
Nope.
The great Michael Bradley, the Daily Hombre, at Daily Hombre. Follow him. He's phenomenal, man. And his background game is strong.
Yeah, he has been voted best Zoom background guest ever on the show.
Oh, it's not even close.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, Michael, good to talk to you, man. Thanks, brother.
All right, fellas.
Not Michael Bradley, the U.S. soccer hero. Of course, one of the all-time greats. Michael Bradley.